Alright, so this morning we started at Turtle Bay. We paddled on the side of the beaches around the rock islands, kept the rock islands to our right, paddled all the way down, in through the arch, back around through a little small channel into Ulong Bay. Paddled from Ulong Bay all the way across, around the small group of rock islands inside the lagoon. Back out, kept the rock islands to our left this time, paddled all the way through the channel, Wilson's Channel. And from Wilson's Channel we paddled...
That's where he rebuilt his boat, right?
No, he actually rebuilt his boat on Antelope Beach. On Antelope Beach. And he rebuilt it and he sailed back to Macau from that area. Off a boat called Ulong. Rebuilt smaller vessel from the Antelope parts. We actually paddled through the channel right in front of Jurassic Lake, crawled in the tunnel into Jurassic Lake and snorkeled with medusas. Crawled back out, hopped on the kayaks and paddled all the way on the side of the rock islands until we came to the ancient village, camping beach, Palau burial caves, and later on we'll visit the Palau pictographs.
I want this picture. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
I don't like it.
You don't look like you're explaining anything. You gotta explain something. Explain
The
that.
night of the storm. What?
Hey guys,
Got shipwrecked.
back up a little bit. I'm gonna back up. Yeah. Story time. You guys want the?
You gotta raise your hand.
You guys want?
Hang on, just let me get one more picture of still. Wait a minute. Hold it.
You know, the first time we got this book, we made some funny stories up about this book.
No, this one. Oh, there we go.
This is in South America. You know that this picture.
Is it? Doesn't matter. Who cares?
You want to have some fun.
It's good. It's gonna be a funny way of the truth. Funny story of the truth.
Wait, hold it. Yeah, this is the best picture so far. This one, that's it. The best picture. Okay, that's it. Lost of the antelope. Okay. That's it.
So that's the funny one.
Yeah, okay. George Washington, Captain Henry Wilson, everybody, sailing, a trader from England, working for the Spanish Queen, was actually doing trades between Philippines and Macau on a boat called the Antelope. He had a crew of 34 Europeans and 16 Chinese ladies.
16 Chinese ladies, come on.
They got to share.
That was the TV show.
Dude, how are you gonna go on a boat without no women?
And they weren't cooking.
They were all cooks, of course. Yeah.
They were all cooks.
Just in case one gets the rice wrong, right? The others took it over.
So as you can see right here, on July 20th, 1973, Captain Henry Wilson was sailing from Macau to Manila, Philippines. He got caught in a storm. I think he was aiming for Palau, Philippines, before he got caught in a storm. See the distance? I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know how.
Yeah, how do you go drift that far?
It probably went through these islands right here.
Rum was a very popular drink in those days.
He was having fun with the cooks, got caught in the storm in the bedroom. Twist him in.
Blame the Chinese cooks.
And drifted to Palau.
The 16 girls.
With 16 women, guys.
Oh.
That night he got caught in the storm. He also got shipwrecked right at Ulong Channel, just north of Ulong Channel.
And they lost one passenger.
Yeah, they lost one passenger through the pounding surfs of 2 days.
You bring it higher up? Yeah. And they're closer to the face. That's better. Okay. That's good. Okay.
He never had a show like this before.
Okay, not so much grinning. Gotta look serious about this. This is a serious business.
Yeah. They got caught in a storm. Some of them grabbed some logs, floaters, all kinds of floating donuts, and then
Floating donuts? Wait a minute.
Inflatables.
Inflatable donuts.
Zodiacs, in other
Inflatable
words.
donuts. That's too much reflection on them.
at night, while they got caught in the storm and then drifted onto the island. Later on that morning, 100 canoes visited him from the locals. And as you can see in this picture, you got the chief and Captain Henry Wilson signing a treaty over here, or negotiating, because Chief Abdul was a savvy businessman. Savvy businessman.
And he probably got all 16 cooks.
Savvy businessman.
He wanted the cooks, the 16 Chinese.
No,
ladies.
the savvy businessman actually
He was off to the arms.
was after the firearms.
He wanted to delete his enemy.
Yeah. So in return, he offered them to build a smaller vessel to sail back to Macau called Orirong. And called Orirong, Orurong. It's gonna be hard pronouncing this one in English, man, because I don't even know how to say it. Orurong. Urulong. 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 Yeah, Urulong. Urulong.
And what is Ikamu?
It can move, right? So while the English built a vessel, they built it by the ocean and was hoping that the tide would come up. They will be able to drag the pull and drag the vessel into
With the
waters.
right tide, yeah.
Yeah, with the right tide. But the tide did not come enough that night. Didn't come high enough that night. So they had to pull it into the water while it was on the beach.
And that's Ikamu.
And when they were pulling it into the water, the Englishmen were screaming, "It can move! It can move! It can move!" And the locals heard, "It can move! It can move! It can move!" That's what they heard. So the locals made a chanting scream with the Europeans saying "It can move! It can move!" So now when we play tug of war, or when we're pushing a car or pulling a boat in the water, when it starts moving, we use the term "It can move! It can move!" So when you're lifting kayaks and kayaking in Palau, we say "It can move! It can move!"
What a great story of communication.
Thank you.
The way phrases are misinterpreted and then used for other good reasons.
Yes, guys. But just going back to
Yeah.
going back to Chief Abdul and going back to this picture and going back to Chief Abdul, guys. There was a guy named Tom Rose on Captain Henry Wilson's vessel who was a Malay interpreter. And in Palau, there was already drifters from Malay that settled on the island. So the Palauans and the Europeans were able to communicate with each other through these Malay interpreters. So with these two interpreters, we found out about the power of the firearm. And from our vice chief, oh wait, where's my vice chief? You're gonna be going back and forth editing parts and putting them together. So from our vice chief of Chief Abdul, the showcase of the firepower gave him ideas that he could defeat a arriving tribe in Mulgiog. From this day, when the settlers, when the European settlers got onto the island, the tide changed from 2 chief kingdoms to a high king on the island.
It's 1783.
1783. Most of the firearms that were left on the island were used in battles that brought down population on the island. Estimated population of over 70,000 died out to 3,000 from disease that came from the Europeans and the weapon between the crossfires between these warriors that had their tribal wars. And that
So
history.
overall, they did a very good job.
Yeah,
Terrible.
that history, we'll be able to visit some of it later on today when we hike into these lagoons. Those are all considered unfair battles now, and it's back to 2 high chiefs, no more king. So there's Chief Raklai is back, and 2 high powers, and also Chief Abdul. The name is passed on through the chief clan. It's not a name that you get when you're born. It's when you become chief, you get the title and the name of these high
These are
granders.
large families, basically, right?
These are large families, and even to be chief, you don't have to be blood in the family. You could marry into the family, and you could be chosen to be a chief.
So you can be a chief.
Anybody can be a chief. We have we have small clans and we have hierarching clans, and the small clans even have chiefs. So, but they're all under these two high chiefs of Babaldao and Koror.
But you must have been born in this area, right?
You have to be born into your last name will indicate what clan you're in Palau. Your last name is a family name that's passed down through generation, and that indicates your territory, your property, and your clan, and where you come from your ancestors. So, yes, and you have to be Palauan blood to be able to be chief. No, I'm sorry. You have to be. I'm sorry. I take that back. I'm sorry. You have to be a wise and productive gentleman to be able to become chief, even if you're not
You
blood.
have to be a gentleman. You can't be a woman.
You have to be a gentleman, yeah, to be chief. But in Palau, the men are chiefs to appoint laws, and the women are the high chief of the land. It's a matriarch society, and they get to choose the high chief of men to make the laws of the island. If they didn't like the laws that were being made by that chief, they would take his ranking from him. So.
The checks.
So there's a women council that's always in meetings and deciding or suggesting good opportunities for civilians or the social communities to be strong and compact communities amongst each other, and this is still in the influence in the culture right now. I know we have a democratic way of system. We have presidents and governors and senators and all kinds, mayors.
More like mimicking the U.S. system
Yeah,
with
mimicking
local culture mixed in,
with local culture mixed
the
in.
tribal aspects.
Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to mention is we've been doing this for years and years and years, and we know that it's just a language different. The culture that we've always had in Palau with the way of our own culture government is pretty much inputted into the way of society now. So in cases where I think people say they can't mix in culture with politics is the total opposite, because I remember politicians when I was a kid saying culture is politics. And culture is politics.
So we have a major downpour that is very typical in tropical climates. So we are holding back the expedition a little bit. We are hiding to make sure that the cameras don't get wet. And I'm expecting beautiful sunshine again soon. And then we're going to climb into the island and explore the beautiful trees and the fauna here. And so hang on for a second and enjoy the sounds of the rain. So it's sunny again after the rainfall.
It comes and go in Palau, you're always wet. There's snorkeling, getting right down there, you're sweating.
Well, no, I didn't get it.
Well, guys, we're hiking right now into the ancient village, and as you can see, they would not live on the beaches. They would not build a village by the beach. They would actually build a village on top of the rock islands to avoid enemy. To avoid the enemy.
The anemone.
The anemone. So they actually built it on top of the cliffs of the rock islands, and they had a gate. They had a gate into the community, and the beaches will be activity areas. They folded in with it. It was on the reef. They collected whatever, and then they moved to the other side of the island. No, that's the beach they landed on. Yeah. They got shipwrecked on
Oh,
the
look at
channel.
that, rats or something.
Yeah, naked tails.
Here they come, here they come.
Naked tail squirrels. They've been on this island for about 200 years. They've evolved to become naked tail squirrels.
On the crates? On the crates?
There was no. No, they built it on the same beach. Yeah. No, they didn't wreck on the beach.
They wrecked on the reef.
They wrecked on the reef on the northern end, on the reef. There's a channel out here. There's a natural channel up ahead. It's called Ulong Channel. The two encounters that they speculate that came to Palau was surf and Drake in the 1500s and the Jellyfish. Yeah. They would build a man-made wall. It could be anywhere from 10 to 15 foot high. You can see it collapse already. Tunnel entry.
So this is a man-made wall built by the villagers to protect themselves from rival tribes.
Funnel gate, guys. I'm sorry the storm has
Destroyed it? Destroyed it?
not destroyed it, but blocked some of it.
Could be poison ivy, if you will.
No, hell no. They're still before you even see them. Used for food protection. Sea cucumbers. The white goo that came off the sea cucumbers that gets as a defensive mechanism, it sticks on you. That's what they would. They put under their feet. They put under their feet and let it dry up, and use it for food protection back then. To climb up the rock islands, or even to go fishing with it. You know, when you're spearfishing at night or during the day, you had to have foot protection because you're stepping all over the corals.
Without knowing.
Yeah. The activity area, this is where you find a lot of pottery sheds. Even from time to time you can come across axe blades that are made with shells. Either mollusks shells, giant clam shells you can actually grind down and make an axe blade with it. Pottery sheds, pottery were used to collect the rainwater so they can have something to drink and wash with. So when they had a battle or war back then, you want to be looking for stuff like this, guys. Stuff like this. These are cool stuff right here. Right here, see that? Check that out.
What is that?
So what is this? Oh, this is organic, right?
No, that's not organic. That's skeletons.
This is a chunk of...
Skeleton of what?
Chunk of this is a. That's the grinder on the grinder of a parrotfish.
Oh, parrotfish.
Bumpet parrotfish in the jaw.
They have a huge biting force.
Yeah. That's not the teeth in front of the mouth. That's the teeth in the jaw that grinds down the sand, grinds down the corals into sand. And that's from a stingray. It's the same thing.
This is stingray.
The stingray teeth in the back of the jaw too that grinds down the.
Strong.
Yeah, that grinds down.
Use the stingray teeth as a dagger?
It's like a fire.
No. They this is what they ate. You could tell what they ate from the evidence. And this is a clamshell. This is the rib cage of a clamshell that you actually can grind down into an axe blade.
Oh.
And you put on top of a piece of wood we call now the sand grapefruit tree, and you use the tree for the handle and the rib cage or the shells for the blades. And you probably had pictures of it from the museum.
Some more.
Between two tribes, or or when they invaded these communities, as you can see, they harassed them out of this area by breaking all their pottery sheds and making them have a tough time living on the rock islands of Palau. In order to live on the rock islands, you have to have water storage to collect rainwater. The potteries were water storage. They had huge potteries, anywhere from 4 feet to 5 feet in length, 2 feet in depth, to collect rainwater in them.
Who made those potteries? Did they make them? Or
They
buy them
no, they
against fish?
actually they traded with the people of Babel and Angar for these potteries. They traded food for potteries. There was no such thing as money back then.
Well, wait a minute. Couldn't they collect rainwater from rivers?
There's no rivers.
There's none?
There's no rivers on the Rock Islands.
Oh.
The Rock Islands are porous.
What about Babel?
On Babel,
Oh, there's rivers up there, aren't there?
there's rivers up there.
So there's people easily collect the water in Babel.
People of the Rock Islands couldn't go to the Babel. That was another clan's territory.
Okay.
So in order to live on the Rock Islands, they had to collect the rainwater for their own supply.
And Koror, same thing.
Koror, same thing, but Koror actually did a lot more trade with Babel and got water from Babel too. But yeah,
So Babel could sell them water.
you could sell them water, trade water,
Trade them water.
trade them water. Babel means Northern Ocean, and Yoldao, like Peleliu, Angar, Southwest Islands, it means Southern Ocean. So you know, Babel is on the north end of the island, and Peleliu and the Rock Islands are on the southern end of the island. So they say Northern Ocean or Southern Ocean by saying Babel or Yoldao. Also, it can also mean Upper Ocean and Lower Ocean. But the best way to put it is north and south.
People that were living there must have been a bit disturbed when the ship showed up.
Nobody was living here when the ship showed up. They were harassed out of these islands about 500 years ago. The boat showed up
Oh, really?
200 years ago.
So there's nobody actually living on this island?
Yeah.
No.
Chief Abdul's son was killed in these waters for fishing by a notorious tribe. Remove all the ants. All the ants. Can I see the funnel gate? The funnel gate was made so 2 people can hold back the enemy right in that entry, while the kids and the women and the high chief will be safe on top of the rock island. And the thing is, you could always spear down, you can't spear up. That's why they lived on top of the rock islands and on top of the hills, not
Sign that we know he's about 5, 6 feet tall. And then we get an idea. I like that. That's great. Hey, hang on. Do that again. Oh, can you do that again? I want the legs up in the air. Now I get an idea of the scale. Hold it. One more.
They're very flexible, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very strong. I need more light.
You know, hamsters don't have for me.
Oh, is that right? Is that what you're worried about? This is about people falling down and breaking their neck on the trail or something.
Yeah, you guys sign waivers.
Really?
Yeah.
I never signed a waiver.
Yes, you did.
Did I? Wrong position. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Well, you're starting to get into
You
this.
guys a really good shot if I don't fall down before.
Yeah, you might have done a good job there. Where's the trap?
So you husk a coconut open. You open it up with the coconut shell. You tie it to a branch or a stem or a vine around 5-ish, around dawn. You come back at night, maybe a couple hours later, to check on the trap. The crab is actually eating on the coconut at the trap, so it can't run back to its hiding spot, and then you grab him. They're not fast movers.
Well, why can't it run back to? He can't reverse.
He can reverse, but he'll be feeding on the coconut, and he won't notice you coming.
He won't.
He won't. If you're eating, would you care about anybody disturbing you?
Well, if it meant my life, yes.
Well, they haven't evolved that well yet.
It's such a simple trap, and that's the way to catch it.
That's the way to catch it. You can see them all over. We'll find more. We'll find more. Let's see if we can find more. But this is how you trap coconut, guys. And
Who set that up?
I mean crabs with coconut.
locals that come and camp on the beach. Sometimes we do while we do expeditions, so we can feed the guests with coconut crabs too.
They're fairly common.
Very common. It's one of the best local cuisines is a coconut crab. It has a lot of meat. It's huge. It's better than lobster. If you haven't had it.
I got a very strange atmospheric shot there. Look at this because of the reflections on the light.
Hey everybody, don't take your booties off yet. Oh, there's the male.
Mating call?
Mating call. They were fitted together, joined together, and tied with coconut fiber rope.
Right.
So in case of storm, they can always take down the house, save the material, hide in caves. After the storm, rebuild the same huts and houses with the same material.
And they would stick it out in a cave during the storm.
Stick it out in a cave during the storm.
The building not strong enough to withstand the storm?
No, the buildings were not strong enough. Like I said, they were joined together, they were carved and joined together and then tied with fiber rope.
But even in a forest like this, where you would have quite a bit of protection because of the other trees, right? I mean...
Yeah, but you don't want the tree falling down on your house.
Oh, I see. These trees would fall.
Yeah, these,
occasionally.
as you can see on the entry there, that was a small tropical storm that we had, and the tree came down and blocked the entry to the ancient village. This is a historical site, guys. There's still a lot of stuff to discover here. The oldest artifact, the oldest clay pottery that was found in here and carbon dated, the ashes in it were carbon dated to about 4,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago.
So there were humans living here 4,000 years ago.
There were humans living here 4,000 years ago. Austronesians actually left the East Asia, the West, Southwest Asia at about 30,000 years ago and start migrating towards these smaller islands. So Austronesians and Austropapua-New-Guineans are a group of people. I want to say a group of people that the species actually evolved to become humans in Southwest Asian islands like Burma and Bonaire, where they had they discovered some of the hobbits and some of the 21 species of humans. So these humans actually evolved in the Asian country and slowly migrated to the Pacific all the way to the Americas. And then the Asians came and killed most of them. You can actually find, I'm half American, but you could find at least 50% of my blood to be Austronesian, so to come from the same genes. So, but you can also find the same type of people in the Philippines, in the Amazon, or in Taiwan, and not in the cities, in the valleys, in the mountains, where they don't have a lot of communication with the rest of the society. They still have their own languages and their own way of living. But like I said, they were crossbreed with Asians and Austropapuans And
Because they were all traveling nations with the islands and the boats.
they're
and
all the
fishing and
traveling agents
trades.
from islands. Yeah, they're not the ones that came from Africa that went to Europe and became white.
No sun.
There's a snake.
And the reason why they call it razor snake is fast. And that speed will help it levitate up in the air about 8 foot, 10 foot in the air, catch the frog. Okay, fish poisoning tree. This is the seed of a fish poisoning tree. As you can see, it's right behind me. You could actually use the roots or the seed. You smash it and you put it in shallow waters and shallow reef. It paralyzes and stings the fish for about 2 minutes. And you pick and choose which fish you want to eat. The rest comes back to life and you save them for tomorrow and the future. It doesn't destroy reefs and helps the community feed off the land.
It's a very sustainable solution.
Yes.
But it would paralyze humans as well if they drank it or if they ate it, right?
Haven't had any incidents yet. It was tried amongst humans, but no hallucinogenic feelings or anything like that. It just works on fish. I don't know if any other creatures might be able to do it, but it works in water. I don't know if it gets in the oxygen in the water or...
The chemical reaction needs water.
Yeah. In the ocean.
So maybe salt water.
Salt water. It's also a nocturnal bloomer and has a really pretty flower. And as you can see, some of these, after the flower has bloomed at night, the seed will grow after the flower.
So it only blooms at night?
Blooms at dawn.
Dawn.
Right around dawn. Let's see if we can find one of the flowers about to bloom, and we'll show you. You're gonna need a knife. It's very fabricy.
To break it out. Oh, it's pretty much like coconut, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of
Has a fiber to it.
fiber structure. Very strong structure.
The fiber structure, I guess it helps it float and dispose it to other islands.
So it floats over to other places like
Yeah, it's
almost like a coconut traveling in the ocean.
it's a literal zone plant, so it's disposed by ocean, and the greatest pollinator of this plant is the ocean.
Do the fishermen use it?
Yes, to this day they use it. Not poisonous to human, just bitter.
It's got a whole lot of funny fronds and stuff in there.
It's more like a foam in there.
Well package.
Did anybody study what the active ingredient is?
I bet there has been. I just don't have that information right
So
now.
what is this called?
Fish poisoning tree. There's a scientific name to it and a family to it. But you're gonna have to ask a botanist about that. Not me, I'm just a tour guide. It'd be great to know the scientific name. I think I have a book that tells you the scientific name on the boat, so when we get to the boat I'll show it to you guys.
Oh, very funny. Yeah, let me get a close up of it. I got to get the Pepsi can with them.
Oh, it opens up like this, right?
That's when it blooms.
You turn it this way.
Just looking at the bill from my going for her.
Yeah, put a macro.
Muhammad was all like, oh, let's go, pack up the camera.
You can see it all over here.
This is not poisonous, right?
No, it's not poisonous at all.
So this is almost like fiber.
Same material in the seed.
It's amazing, isn't it, how well it's packaged? It's like a parachute, you know, nature.
Yeah, oh, and when it blooms it's beautiful, guys. You have to witness it to be able to understand.
When it blooms, you get the petals coming up, plus that stuff.
Plus that stuff, yeah. And it drops down.
And the part that poisons the fish is which part? The
It's
little,
the roots or the seed?
the roots of the seed.
Just look at the
Palauans use
packaging
the roots. Other places in Micronesia
skills
use
of
the seed.
nature.
Yeah.
Everything lined up perfectly.
But the seed in the roots.
Oh yeah, I don't know if there's other places in the area that do it. The Palauans all use the roots. Where's the monument at?
Put it on the sand or the wood. Put it on the wood.
Those will be able to tell us global warming, rise of tide, rain, storms in the area.
For real?
It's a snake.
This is chilling. It's not even moving.
Jaden, are these sea snakes?
That is secret, yeah. 10 times more poisonous than the king cobra, but they're not aggressive at all. Their fangs are behind their jaw. You actually step up here, look at them for a little bit if you want. Put it on your touch list.
No, I won't.
Very dangerous. Ngalak mo kung baka mag-takto. Incident. The fangs are
Report it because nobody could report it anymore. The human couldn't report it. He was
the
eaten
fangs
by
are in
a
the back
sea
of the
snake.
jaw, bro.
So this is the part of the show when they're going to touch the sea snake.
Man, I gotta climb up there to...
You don't have to, bro. You got close enough.
Brandon, you don't have to do every silly thing. Oh look, there's
Where?
one moving over there.
Where?
Yes.
Usually they're right here, bro, so you could just touch them.
You like snakes, huh? They'd be running away from us.
They're very gentle creatures.
So this thing will flinch out on me.
Later, Brandon.
We gonna leave you behind, Brendan, and check if you can survive for a day or two.
Eat the snake.
Don't be silly, Brendan.
Touchless.
Yeah, I'm touching it. Oh, good enough. I touched the snake. All right.
Swallowed it to get home. Wow. Right? Like, oh, I got dinner too. Oh, yeah. It was so gross. They get really big.
We're starting to eat each other's eggs.
They're trying to eat each other. So the bigger
This is Japanese or US?
Japanese cannon protecting the Japanese seaplane port. PPR used to be a Japanese seaplane port. It's protecting that area. As a matter of fact, it connects and it links up on top of the rock islands, and then another link goes in, another cave coming out of the bunkers on the other side of Pitchers. Dude, you should see the ones on top of the German lighthouse. The ones that they got from the British in Singapore. They use them to fight against them.
Then how did the Japanese actually live there? I mean, they needed supplies and so on. I mean, it's a small cave.
Live on the rock islands?
They manned it for a day or two?
No, they just manned it for a day or two.
Oh, not all the time.
Yeah, they manned it for a day or two, and at the same time they have communication stations on top of the rock island, and they have bunkers and pillboxes where they actually camped at 5 days in a row. They had their own supply brought over there. They brought all kinds of supply like oysters, or they lived off the land, they ate oysters, or they brought their own food there. They brought rice bowls, and there was cargo boats that would deliver supplies into these bunkers and caves. Communication station.
Rainwater.
Yeah.
And drank some of sake and beer.
They sure did drink. There's not much to do on these islands, but you know,
This veteran is probably pushing 80.
you could drink. You can find a lot of beer bottles. You can find a lot of sake bottles at some of the pillboxes. Hopefully later on when we do Nikko Bay next week, you'll get to see that, and you get to see the oysters that they get to eat, the camping ground, the bunkers. A little bit more about the strategy of Koror. They actually they had a whole year and a half to strategize the defense of Koror, and 6 months in Peleliu. And just to quote the general, he said he was charged for war crimes in Guam, in Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. He was charged for war crimes, decapitating fallen navigators. There's a B-24 in Nikko Bay that was shot down by an anti-aircraft gun, and there was a survivor. The navigator survived, and later on was caught by the Japanese Marines and decapitated.
Today's our last day, so we settled our account.
So you get to see sites like that, and just to quote the general said that if they would ever came through Koror, they would have got sent back on the ships they came back on. He was so proud for the defensive strategy that he planned for Koror. That took him a year and a half just to build. Peleliu only took 6 months, and it was the bloodiest battle in the South Pacific. Also, it was also a great training for the United States Marines to approach Awajoma and Ayojoma and Okinawa. There's the cave and the cavern battles.
The landing method.
Yeah, the landing method.
They have a very long, shallow coral reef.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to approach that by boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, the landing craft carriers. Yeah.
You want to do. There's, like I said, there's a communication station that you can actually paddle around the communication station, then hike up and see the tanks. See the cannons, see the station foundation, see the general's swimming pool. It's on top of a rock island. It used to be an ancient village too, but they actually flattened it more and made it into a communication station. It's just on the top of the rock islands on the east side. So a lot more to see. If you're into World War II battles or World War II relics, there's a lot on the island, a lot to see. 224 Japanese Zeros were shot down. We've only discovered 12. Lots of bunkers still to be discovered, lots of caves. Maybe Japanese relics, planes on top of the rock islands, Japanese Zeros. A lot of the battleships, the cargo ships that were turned into battleships were sunk here in the lagoons of Koror and haven't yet to be discovered. So still much to discover when it comes to war. Paddling on Babadao was strained and bombarraged by B-24s and B-29. So till this day you can find live bomb on the islands.
So what's up, Jaden? What are we gonna see?
We're gonna see Sea Passion. Sea Passion Hotel is just around the corner. The owner of the hotel had a Japanese Zero that got shot down on the back of his property on Babadao, and when he built the hotel, he transferred the Zero from land to his backyard, to the backyard of his hotel in the ocean right here, so his guests can actually get to snorkel it. And there's a live bomb right in front of it still.
Oh, dang it.
So that's the cool thing about it.
So don't touch it.
Don't touch the bomb.
There's a bomb. Yeah, I looked for it yesterday, could not find it.
Don't worry, I'll show it to you guys right now.
Bring the drinks out here.
Bring me a beer. Yeah.
That's the Guam group, right?
Yeah.
That's the shit loose.
How's it? Yeah, here we go. Awesome!
What time is it open?
Right here, guys.
Here, you guys can snorkel from the resort.
I tried yesterday, I couldn't find it. I spent like a half hour out here.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Right
If you want to see a crocodile in Palau, the best time to see them is at night. They're nocturnal feeders. So snorkel in any of these lagoons around this area, you'll see them. Nikko Bay, Pinchers, Resong, even just close to PPR. Just paddle around the corner, shine your flashlight, you get to see them. Sometimes you get to see them in here.
Whole different world.
Didn't even flinch at all.
However, to get your own boat is a little bit expensive.
You weren't scared?
Just a little bit.
Zero?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why I mentioned that one.
Saying y'all, witty and Southern Bills with the accent. My favorite. 5 o'clock, everybody.
This one over here.
5
Oh, you told your date?
No, because we would have time to like
Take care of what? What you?
How much is your arm?
No, dude, I would love to hang out with you. I got talking parts. Yeah, that's the embarrassing part. It's the embarrassing part.
I had a little interview, don't forget. Your interview to fish.
Hey, get your kayak out of the way, bro. You gotta go.
One more time.
No, I gotta get my stuff.
Work to do right here.
into a camera thing. Ready?
Hey, you're strong.